Hi, lovelies. Welcome to the Hearty podcast. Today we're going to talk about what does letting go actually look like? Why is it so hard to detach? My name is Beth, and I am the Reality Alchemist. Welcome to the Hearty podcast. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time, thank you so much for joining us and welcome. So, as I mentioned, today we're going to talk about letting go and the importance of detachment. So, when it comes to letting go, the first thing I forgot. Silly me. What do we do here? We close all of those mental tabs, all of the many open mental tabs, and we let go of our to-do list and our anxieties. And here we reclaim our power and our energy. And I help you through transmuting all of that into the life you love. So take a deep breath with me in and breathe out through your mouth. Deep breath out. Just let it all go. Shake if you need to. Get it all out. Okay, so as I mentioned today on the Soul Hearty podcast, as the Reality Alchemist, that's what I'm going to teach you how to do. Is everybody talks about the importance of letting go. There are all sorts of different things out there, right? Whether, again, if it's backed in science or whether it is witchy woo woo, there is so much out there about the importance of letting go. And I think one of the biggest things for me was that as I went down the rabbit hole on my own healing journey, I kept questioning, okay, that's great, but how? How do you let go? Oh, you don't care. How do you stop caring? Especially as an empath and as an intuitive, that was a concept that was super hard for me, right? And so, and I found that through the years of having clients and just my own journey and things like that, not only my personal clients through Soul Hearty, but also, my day job in the corporate world, my talking to friends and things. As recently as this weekend, I was talking with a friend about the importance of letting go and what this looks like. So there are so many tools out there that help us to let go. But I think the reality is, again, it's the how. Everybody tells us you need to let go. And so I think one of the big things is, as the Reality Alchemist, I'm going to help you to shift from hustling for outcomes to transmuting that dense energy so that you can manifest everything that you need, because you can't do that when you are in your fight or flight, when you are in a place of chaos. In fact, one of the things that I literally mentioned to a friend over this last week was I have been in such a time period in my life for the last while of being in fight or flight, being in chaos, that just I would get done with my day job and I would just be so exhausted, and all I wanted to do was sleep, was rest. I had zero capacity for anything else. And I thought about what that looked like for my Soul Hearty business, and I thought about, how do I continue to go on when I am feeling this burnout? And that's why, for those of you who have worked with me for years now, that's where that shift came from. I don't know that I fully explained that, but that's really where the shift came from, is how am I balancing my own health, right? And why am I not just taking everyone on a journey with me of what that looks like? So detachment is one of those that I have been very, very focused on for the last while. And the reason being is, just like I said, I do care. I am an empath. I am an intuitive. One of the biggest things that I hear is how kind I am, how loving I am. One of the ways that people have referred to me as far as a teacher is I have kind authority. So I clearly know what I'm talking about, but I come from a place of, let me meet you where you're at. Let's talk about this. What are you feeling? Let's unpack it, rather than feeling like it's an authoritarian. I'm like combining words now, and that's why I continue to say authoritarian, rather than being like an authority and just kind of like bringing down the hammer of, no, this is what you will do. Like, tough love is, I do feel like maybe there are times for tough love, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with tough love. it's just, again, going back to me being authentic. That's not who I am, right? It's not that I haven't had times where I've absolutely practiced tough love. However, my tough love looks very different than most people. So I really just have thought about the fact that, like, over the last, oh my gosh, probably as long as the last year or so, I have been very focused on getting out of feeling like I'm in constant chaos, I'm in constant fight or flight. And the thing that I want to remind all of you is there is only so much of that you own. You own your reaction, you own what you do with it. You do not own what others do to you, right? Now, from a healthy boundaries perspective, if I can talk today, goodness, let me talk to you, but I'm struggling to talk. From a healthy boundaries perspective, the reality is, yes, we are absolutely responsible, as I've talked about before. We're responsible for knowing what our healthy boundaries are, communicating them in love, and then enforcing them is the short of it, right? And so when we think about that, so much of the time we tend to own other people's actions. No, that's not ours to own. And, there's so many things out there that talk about how, what's theirs is theirs, what's mine is mine, right? If you are anything into like any of the witchy woo-woo, that's a very common phrase. And it's a really good phrase, right? Or cord cutting or different things like that. Or again, from a scientific neurological perspective, detachment, right? We talk about different attachment theories. I can get into that. I used to be very anxiously attached. I am now 100% securely attached. And it was work. Absolutely. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me. I can teach you what I did, right? This is something that I take my clients on, is that journey to go from an unhealthy form of attachment to a secure attachment, right? So when we think about detachment, there are so many things with it that make it challenging, like I said, because we do care. And so it's really easy for us to kind of have that attitude where we care of like, okay, I'm gonna do it because it's the right thing, and I don't care what they say. I don't care if their response is hurtful or things of that nature, which that's not exactly true, right? We do care, right? And so how do you grow a thick skin? How do you ensure that you are able to still live and be yourself authentically, still be kind and loving, and still give without expectation, yet not then be hurt when all of your effort not only feels for naught, but all of your effort is met with hurtful things, whether it's attacks about you personally, right? Or sometimes even just the fact that someone refuses the help that you're offering is hard, right? Sometimes it's that your intent does not match your impact, where my intent is always of a good, positive nature, right? Anyone who knows anything about me knows that, right? It's one of those things where if someone were to say some of the hurtful things that have been said to me throughout my life by different people, right? When I have brought those two loved ones, they're shocked because whatever that person has said that is so hurtful, it's not true. It's not the reality, right? And I even had a friend say to me the other day, well, yes, this may be what this person is saying, but that's not the reality. And all of us that know that's not the reality, right? And so, again, how do you detach though, right? That's the piece where we all struggle, is how do you detach? So I'm going to share with all of you my journey of what I did with that. So the first thing that I did was, again, I made sure to start with those healthy boundaries, right? Self-love is the transformation. You cannot enforce your healthy boundaries if you don't love yourself. You cannot detach if you don't love yourself. You cannot be securely attached if your attachment style cannot be secure if you don't love yourself. All of this comes down to loving yourself, because of the fact that you have to know that your value is equal to that other person's. I had somebody else say to me something about, I want you to think about someone in your life that you put up on a pedestal. I want you to think about the fact that they are not any better than you are. I don't care if they have the life that you want, if they have the title that you want, they have the income that you want, whatever that looks like. Hi, cute baby Peppy. Regardless of what that is, they are not more important than you are. Just because of the fact that their circumstances are different, that does not make them more important than you are, right? But again, we have to be able to take a step back and look at that, right? So part of my journey several months ago, probably, honestly, probably about 8 months ago, I guess 7 months ago, was observe, don't absorb. So any of you who are believers or know anything about Buddha and the teachings of the Buddhas, that comes from Buddhism. To be an observer, you observe the things around you, you don't absorb them, right? So there are some amazing guided meditations that help you to detach and to release. And one of the examples is picture yourself laying on the grass, looking up at the sky, and those thought bubbles that you have, whatever they are, whether it's negative self-talk or something that someone else said about you, those clouds are those thought bubbles. And so when you're laying on the ground and looking up at the sky and looking at the clouds, you're not mad at those clouds because they pass by or because they stay, or you're not mad at the clouds. And so the thought process is to be the observer and literally just watch as those thoughts, those negative self-talk or those thoughts from other people, they are the clouds, and you literally just observe them. You just watch them. You don't absorb them. That's not yours to take on. They have those feelings because of things in their life. Now, again, we are responsible for our own actions, right? So there's a big difference between if you are saying something that is hurtful, then absolutely you have to take some ownership for that. So please know that's not what I'm saying. However, if you are doing everything that you can to be kind and loving, and you even get confirmation from others that there was nothing that sounded hurtful in what you said, however, someone else is taking it completely opposite, that's where you have to take things with a grain of salt. And that's where you have to figure out how to do the detaching, right? So the observe, don't absorb is amazing. And I love it. And I have practiced it before. And that really became my daily mantra. And then again, perspective is reality, right? And so my perspective is my reality. Your perspective is your reality. We view our lives through the lens of our experiences. And as a result, everyone's perspective is truly their reality, right? So then I had some situations come up in my life where emotionally, again, I had no more capacity to take on anything else. And so that practice of observing, not absorbing, it was harder for me because, again, I do care. And when you are at the capacity, you're full, you cannot handle anything else because of things going in your life, whether it's anything from grief to job changes to financial struggles, like whatever that looks like, right? There's so many things that go on in our lives. But the reality is, I had to try and figure out, okay, how do I shift that now? Because that's not working, right? And so I practiced what I normally practice, which is feel the emotion. You have to feel it. Remember that whole fear? Everything you desire is on the other side of fear. And so I had to allow myself to feel those emotions, whatever they were, in the moment, as close to in the moment as possible, right? Sometimes we're not able to, right? Sometimes those emotions, they come up right in the middle of a work call or something, right? And you don't really want to be feeling all those emotions right there in front of everyone, right? So feeling the emotions when they come up as reasonably as possible, right? And if you are in a place where you can't feel them in that moment, then you need to give yourself some space and some quiet time to be able to feel them later when you have the ability to do so. But you have to feel them. You have to first feel them, whatever that looks like. Then you need to release them in a healthy manner. For a lot of people, it's crying, and that's okay. For a lot of people, it is, I got to get them out through use of my, some of those happy hormones, whether it is being productive, maybe cleaning the house helps you. Housework is great for me when I need to get those emotions out, or working out is a great way too that I found to get those emotions out, right? you have to get them out though. It could even be something like I had suggested one time by I think it was a therapist. Not my. This is why I'm struggling, because it wasn't my therapist. I can't remember exactly, but I had someone at one point recommend um, as advice to take ice and throw it into your tub as hard as you can, so you get again the physicality. That's that whole somatic again, right? Because the reality is all of our stress, our trauma lives in the body. And so the beauty of being able to do a somatic release, getting it physically out of us, that's exactly what that does, is it releases it. So whatever that looks like for you, writing it down and burning it, writing it down and tearing it up, belting out songs. That's another one I'm a fan of because I sing. And so that is one of the ways that I love to get my emotions out, is to sing and to belt them out at the highest, right? And so once you do that, so you feel it, you release it, and then you comfort yourself like a 5-year-old child. So you've got to do that. That is part of it. You do not get to being able to detach until you do all of those things first and foremost. And then the very last thing that I'm going to leave you all with, and again, I can go into this further and realize obviously too that the things that I am sharing, it's not like you just do these things once, and it's not like you just do one of these things. Just like your physical health, you don't get 6-pack abs and then expect to keep them if you stop doing the things that got you the 6-pack abs. Your mental, your emotional health, all of this, hi Smiley, all of this, you have to do these things every single day. This is why I call them my daily practices. So if you want to learn more about that, you want to work directly with me, check out the link. And I do open up just a few. I open up one-on-one individual coaching, and I do have some spaces available if you're interested. It's called the Ritualist Intensive, and let's see if we can help you with that. So I also have my book, The Ritualist, and that book, as you've seen before, if you've seen any of my other podcasts or you follow me on social media, it is a guided journey. It's a coloring book with journal prompts to help you dig deeper into those things. So I've got a lot of self-paced things too. You can also check out my website for some of those. And then the big thing too is I'll leave you with this last thought, because I've explained it to a few people in my personal life over the last little while. I don't know that it's really made sense, but I'm going to leave you with this last tip. I have decided that I am customer service Beth. And so what that means to me, again, remember that neurons that fire together wire together. And so to me, when I think of customer service Beth, because I have worked literally my entire adult life in sales in some way, shape, or form. And so to me, customer service Beth is, think about how when I have been at work and you're just having a personal personal conversation with someone, then the phone rings and you're like, hey, thank you for your tone changes. I go up a register, yeah, apparently. And so as customer service Beth, I still am kind, I still am professional, I still do all the things that I'm doing, but as customer service Beth, someone yells at me, customer has a complaint and stuff, I don't take that with me, because I have literally a lifetime of experiencing that that's not mine. They're not mad at me. It has nothing to do with me. And so I'm just the person that they are venting to. And so I do my best to resolve the issue, and then I move on from there. So think about something that way. Is there something, some kind of a persona that works for you that just clicks of like, oh, if I am, like I said, customer service Beth, doesn't mean I don't care. Doesn't mean that I don't do the things. What it means is I don't carry it with me, and I let go of it once that interaction is done. I pay attention, but I am fully present in all the things, but I don't take it home with me, right? So whatever that looks like for you. So I'm going to, again, leave you with, as the Reality Alchemist, like I said, I have some sessions that I'm opening up here and there if you want to work directly with me one-on-one. I also offer email coaching. So if you're interested in email as opposed to like a Zoom call or something like that, let me know. And then also I've got all of my self-guided things, such as the coloring book, The Ritualist. If you're interested in going from the chaos and alchemizing all of that chaotic energy and everything into peace and living a life you love, comment tabs below and I will help you, and we will go through this, and I'll send you directly the link to my book, The Ritualist, so that you can start that journey today. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye. You say bye?